SADC Panel of Elders Oversight Committee on Lesotho Reforms have begun their consultations with key stakeholders. The delegation, which is led by the former President of Tanzania and also the Chairman of the Panel of Elders, Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, came to Lesotho with the aim to give and get information on the reforms' progress. Dr. Kikwete said this first mission in Lesotho is intended to find information about the comprehensive implementation of reforms report from the political leaders, civil society organizations, and everyone involved, including His Majesty King Letsie III and the Prime Minister. And now to discuss this, we're joined by Silence Charumbira, a journalist. Silence Charumbira, it's nice to have you around on the news.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, beautiful. So can you provide a background of the reforms process? What is it that Lesotho wants to do with these reforms?
The major expected outcome really is stability. Lesotho has been really unstable, particularly from 2012 when it had its first coalition government. After that, the emergence of that coalition government, it became apparent that the Prime Minister wielded so much power, and the reforms essentially are necessary to make sure that the Prime Minister's power is kept in check. For instance, the former Prime Minister, Thomas Tabane, he had become known for capriciously replacing service chiefs, officials in the judiciary, like the Chief Justice, the President of the Court of Appeal, and even proroguing Parliament. So that much power ensured that Lesotho had become so unstable. And these are some of the key issues that the reforms are supposed to address.
So then what are the major challenges that Lesotho is facing when it comes to implementing these reforms? And how do you think that those challenges can be surmounted? Because we see that it probably might just be impacting the country's stability and developments.
So the biggest problem really is people that have followed Lesotho politics will realize that it's difficult to come up with a consensus, particularly when it involves politicians. But also, more essentially, Lesotho politicians seem not to be keen to implement these reforms, because what they do is they limit their power. So whoever is expecting to get into power would try as much as possible to sabotage the process, so that when the time comes for them to be in power, their control of the institutions of the state is not limited. So you see lots of bigger political parties like former ruling party, the DC, doesn't seem to be keen on implementing the reforms. So from my point of view, the biggest challenge hindering implementation of the reforms is lack of political will.
So how does this affect the citizens? Are they also open to the implementation of these reforms? Will it speak more to how they've been affected by how their country has been ruled so far, or you will say that they just prefer the status quo?
The citizens are left in a quandary, really, if you look at it, because now they have a lot of politicians that they have followed religiously in the past. Most of them do not care about implementing the reforms, but also what's said is that the livelihoods of the people are affected negatively, adversely by the lack of implementation of the reforms, because an unstable Lesotho means that there is no FDI, for instance, and Lesotho's economy is solely dependent on South Africa. Lesotho imports simple things like cabbages from South Africa. When it touts itself as a very strong agricultural nation, and that points to a lack of leadership in the agricultural sector, something that a stable Lesotho should be able to achieve. So Lesotho's citizens are affected daily. There are challenges daily. Lesotho relies on international handouts from donors for its health, for its judiciary, for its social services. And for a country that is just over 2 million in population, you would think they should be able to do it on their own. But when the country is unstable, those are the results. And that is an indication that the reforms are essential, they are needed, and the sooner that they are implemented, then the better for the citizens.
Okay, Silence Charumbira, thank you so much for helping us understand this better.